Welcome to the Market Mystics podcast. I'm Joshua.
I'm Kim. Let's dive in. Everybody, welcome back.
Welcome.
We just had this real fun conversation real quickly because we recently just started season 3, and season 1, Josh would kick us off. Season 2, I would kick us off. And then we're like, what are we doing for season 3? I don't know. So here we are.
Here we are.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we're here. And I don't know. It's a good day to be alive.
It is. I actually feel like there's a lot of exciting things going on. I think possibly it's like new year, new motivation, new energy. But like also it's just like, yeah, there's stuff moving. There's things happening that are fun and exciting, and I'm here for it.
Same. You know what? I was thinking about this earlier and I thought about talking about it on the podcast. And I was like, no, I'm not going to talk about that. Why would I do that? But I'm going to talk about it now. I think there is something stirring. And it's like there's a kind of a different energy in the air. And maybe it's just today. I don't know. But I have to tell you, today I had a lot of events happen that were not very positive. And I had a very busy schedule and still don't have stuff done. I'm going to have to do some more work after this. Just trying to get things squeezed into this last day of January. We're recording this on the last day of January. It's being released tomorrow, February 1st. Okay, but so it could have been this wildly stressful, negative day for me, like even some real negative things that have happened. And I just found myself today, like feeling all this stuff stirring, which could be really stressful and chaotic, but like being really good. Like I feel good about the stuff that's happening today. And it's not fun. Like if you take the nuance of the end of January, it's tax stuff. Like taxes are not fun, but guess what? It's happening and I'm fine. And I don't know what it is, but there's stuff stirring up. And I think the energy is good. I think it's like, I don't know. It is a good day to be alive.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, I agree. So one of the things we wanted to dive into today is, our most recent episode was with Chris Blackeby. So fun to create that connection and have that conversation. And we spent most of the podcast talking about kind of the unique way that Chris walks with Father and that journey and what that's looked like. And so we just wanted to jump into a couple of our thoughts and notes from it. Do you have something that's like jumping out at you, or you want me to go?
I want you to lead it off. Let's do this,
All right.
Josh.
The very first note I have, and you and I have talked about this several times since recording, is the concept that something unusual starts happening like as a move of God or a miracle or something, and it's like heretical to the traditional church. It's like, absolutely not. This is not of God.
It's witchcraft.
Yeah, it's witchcraft. It's heresy. It's whatever.
Right.
And then you get generally a few years down the road, 10, 20, 50, 100 years, something. Right. And all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, no, that's how God's been doing things all along. We never burned witches at the stake for that. Like, that mindset.
Right.
And I think that that's so fascinating. It's a fascinating concept in the evolution of religion, in the evolution of Christianity, of that, like, there is a core. I really hate overgeneralizing because I know there's like exceptions to everything, but there's like a core belief or experience that a lot of Christians have where change is very challenging.
Right.
And technological advancements are very challenging. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, no, that's fine. That's okay.
Mhm.
And I just thought that like his statement of that, like bringing that to like, hey, this is how this works is like, man, that's important to remember. And I remember in the interview, like this thought came to my mind. There's a handful of quotes by Bill Johnson, the pastor of Bethel Church in Redding, California, that I like just remember from 10 years ago or more. But one of them is the biggest threat to the next move of God is the last move of God.
Hmm.
And I think it ties in very well to this statement because what it's saying is you're holding on to what God has done and your arms aren't open to what he's doing now. And I know there's like, there's all these, I don't want to say contradictions, but like polarities in the way God operates. And so it's like, you have in the Bible, it says that he's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And then you have places where it says, look, I'm doing a new thing. And so it's like, um, can you handle that? Can you hold that?
Mm-hmm.
And it like, I think it's totally fine to wrestle with it
Oh,
for a
for sure.
while.
Right.
Like, I think that is normal human nature.
Mm-hmm.
I think about just like kids and you start introducing something new and it's like, whoa, we've never done this before. But then it's like, oh, okay. Like, I trust you. And all of a sudden it becomes the normal way you do things. And I think that that fits so well into what he was talking about. And I was just like, man, it's important to remember that. It's important to remember that the things that seem way outlandish to me today and the things that seem way just normal, like I would never even think twice about, that the things that I don't think twice about now at one time felt the same way as the things that I'm currently freaking out about.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So it makes me just think about the word mystic, right? So our podcast is called Market Mystics. It is in reference to being a mystic Christian, which is kind of what this stream is called. I'm holding that pretty loosely. I'm just going to say, it just is a term at this point.
Yeah.
But even a couple years ago when we were starting this podcast and throughout the first year, when we would talk about some of the more mystical principles, which if you really want to dial it in, I've had to explain this a lot in the last week or so. More on that. I'm going to tell you about that because it's kind of funny. But I've had to kind of like give the real quick synopsis of like, well, what do you mean by mystic? And the real quick explanation of that for me is like letting go of the religion, the like have tos, and tuning in and honing in on the relationship. Right. So in our faith, and I'm talking about with like God the Father, and Yeshua and Holy Spirit, right? Like honing in on that relationship. But I mean, even a couple years ago, this is what I'm trying to say is when we would talk about this stuff, we had this tagline we like to say. We even have a t-shirt. You can go buy a t-shirt that says this. And we would say, all right, let's get weird for a minute. Okay. Because we needed to like preface and warn people that we're going to talk about some things that are a little outside the box. Except, you know what I've learned? I have learned that it is not as outside the box as we may have been led to believe. So many people are on a very similar journey, and it's almost like hidden. You know what I mean? Which is a really interesting thing to be a mystic who's hidden, because also another easy way of describing what a mystic is someone who seeks the mysteries of God, right? And or the hidden things of God, which is a funny thing if you are yourself hidden, right? Anyway, it just makes me think of that. So like what he said was miracles start as heresy and then become orthodoxy. And I think 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, to tell someone that, wait, you can have an encounter face to face with the Father. You can actually go stand in the throne room right now and have an encounter with your Father, with the Creator. That would blow people's minds. And that is absolutely a miracle. Oh my gosh, you had that experience. Don't tell me it's not biblical. Go read Isaiah, because he did the same thing. But now, even in the last few years, even from 2 years ago, like we don't say that anymore. We don't say, hey, let's get weird about this. This is just part of how we practice our relationship with the Father. You know what I mean? And now it's shifted from like this kind of outlandish idea into, no, this is how I have relationship with my God, with my Father, with the one who created this world. You know what I mean? And I loved how he stated that, because I think he put words into some of what we've been seeing. And yeah, I think we're still in a time, and I think that's probably why there's still this extra term, like this extra explanation of the people who are seeking the face to face. Why right now it's called mystic Christian. Again, I don't know that that's sticking. I don't know that that's something that I want to hold on to and label myself with, but for right now, that's kind of a good explanation. But it's becoming more and more orthodox, right? Like people are realizing this and experiencing for themselves and not just taking the word of someone else. And I think that's what this is all about. It's about stepping into the experience, not just the knowing or the believing, because that's different. If you experience something, it resides and settles and resonates differently than if you just read about the possibility of something.
Yeah.
Even if you trust it completely that it can happen. Yeah. Having that Isaiah moment in the throne room is different than reading about that Isaiah moment in the throne room.
100%. I think this is my week to just quote Bethel Church, because like I'm just gonna do it again. But I heard a story from Chris Valentin one time about how growing up he did all sorts of deliverance ministry in his house, and his kids would see people manifesting demons all the time. And it was just their like daily routine. Oh, there's someone crawling on the living room floor again. Hope this person's head turning around backwards, like weird stuff happening. And he said when they got old enough, he sent them to like public school, public colleges. And some people would be like, whoa, aren't you worried about like the influence that people are going to have there? He goes, no, my kids experience the reality of life every day of their childhood. And no book is going to be like, no book or professor is going to be like, yeah, actually, that experience isn't true. Like, it didn't happen to you, because they lived it.
Right.
And to me, that's the invitation that I hope people get out of our podcast, is that your Christian faith, whether you call it Christian or not, but your faith with the Creator God is experiential as much or more so than it is learning and reading. Like, not that that's unimportant. Like, there's amazing things that can happen.
There's value in it.
There's so value, but the invitation is relationship. Like, that's the invitation of, I think, Yeshua's life is, hey, great. I don't actually think that you need. I think anyone is open to experiencing God. I think Yeshua invites you into an intimate relationship that you might not find otherwise.
Mhm.
And so I think like that, like, man, when I think about Christianity and like these things, it's like, oh, it's relationship. This is experiential. Like that's what I'm invited into. And not that that discounts any of the like Bible or any other like aspect that has already been here. It's just another layer of what you get to do.
Right.
And I think like it's interesting that it's almost like mysticism is not new.
It's
Like
so not new.
it is
And it's
so not
not unique
new.
to Christianity. Like,
No.
think of what's the Kabbalah?
Mhm.
Isn't that
Yeah.
mystic Judaism?
Yeah.
And it's been
It's
around
a
forever.
sect of it. Yeah. Yeah. It's been around way longer than
I
Christianity
mean,
has been.
listen, I remember Madonna saying that she was into Kabbalah in the 90s.
Yeah.
This isn't even new to me.
There's so many layers of this.
Right.
And it's like it's not new, but I would say like, we talk about this all the time. Things are circular.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like been coming back around. Like
Yeah.
its time on the loop has been coming back around into more of a forefront where you have some amazing people, many of whom have been on our podcast, which is incredible, but like amazing people who are introducing and walking people into experiential relationship with God. And at the moment, we know how to define it as mystic Christianity. In 10 years, we probably won't use that terminology anymore.
Right. It'll
Like
probably just be, wait for it,
Christianity.
Christianity.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's just that's a powerful thing. His statement of like, this is how the evolution of things work, I think is really important because that, like, I think that's what we're going I think that's what we're going through now. Like we're going through a moment in life where, and I wouldn't even say it's like a few years, like 10 years ago is maybe when a lot of the current things started to become a little bit more popular. And I think we're like right in the middle of it now. And
Mm-hmm.
soon it's going to like move and transition into something else. But I just keeping in mind that like even if it's weird and uncomfortable for you in the moment, you're constantly expanding. You in the universe, you're constantly expanding so that you can have capacity to hold new things.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be so quick to judge. Not that, I think most of the people who find us are already open to it. Um, but really, like, that's why you and I started doing like coaching calls or
Right.
um, even talking about crypto is because we were being expanded into something that was kind of new and unknown.
It's true.
And
And it was funny because we thought that was like a place we landed.
mm,
Telling you, it was just a stepping stone. It was like, oh, you think you're staying there? Oh, aren't you guys sweet? I've got more for you.
yeah,
But I kind of love that too. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, there is no growing stagnant. This is what I really love about like the relational faith is that it's ever evolving. It is
mm,
continually moving and growing and being reshaped. And um, I don't believe that there's any limit to who God is or what he can show us or what he's willing to show us. But I think that once we start limiting our relationship or what we're willing to do with him, I also think he's a gentleman and he'll honor that. But if we're willing to dive into the wacky and the weird and the foreign and the new concepts, he'll bring the new, right? It may not be new to him, but it may be new to us. And some might say that's heretical, but it's not freaking heretical. Let me just say, it's not heretical. If it is from the Father and he's all the everything, how is it heresy? Like, how is it? I don't know. It's just wild. And I don't know. I love what he's doing. I love kind of this new move of what he's doing and all of his people. And I think I want to talk a little bit more about that in the bonus content for this episode, because I've got a little bit more, just kind of some personal experiences in the last week or so that's really kind of broadened my view a bit.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So if you don't already know, we offer memberships on YouTube
With bonus content.
with bonus content. And so there's already bonus content up there from things we've already done. There's bonus content on there from Chris Blackeby. We have another interview coming up that there's bonus content for. So head over to YouTube, click the little join button on your desktop version of YouTube, and check out some of the other content we have available.
Heck yeah, we'd love to have you there. Cool. Okay, well, let's wrap it there, and we'll see you over in the member area.
See ya.
Hey, thanks for listening. Keep up with us along this journey by liking, subscribing, and becoming a member through YouTube.
Members get exclusive access to bonus content with our guests, deeper dives into topics, and a look into other projects. We're glad to have you here. See you next time.